الحمد لله رب العالمين صلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and welcome to Islamic Oasis Live. As always, brothers and sisters, every time Islamic Oasis obviously brings you literally the things that are happening on the ground in the Muslim lands, whether it is directly from Afghanistan sometimes, or it's Mali, or it's Somalia, and now it's Syria. And we bring you the scholars, the activists, the teachers, the politicians who are many times involved in the work very deeply, and the work of this ummah in the kind of things that are happening across the Muslim lands. Today, brothers and sisters, we have Sheikh Usta with us. Many of you are well known. He doesn't need any introduction. Teacher, a scholar who has written on these topics such as Sham that we are going to discuss today, and many others, other issues in the Muslim lands. Runs institutes that are both, alhamdulillah, that are having an effect both in Canada and across the world. We are all watching what is happening in Syria. Sham, dear brothers and sisters, as it is very close to all of us. And of course, what's happening in Sham affects what's happening in all of the Middle East, and if not the Muslim world. And so to discuss this issue, we welcome our brother, teacher, Sheikh Usta. Sheikh Usta, welcome to Islamic Oasis, Sheikh. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. Sheikh, let's jump right into what is happening. I mean, it's been now almost a week, let's say, or 4 to 5 days, let's say. Damascus has fallen. Bashar Assad has fallen. People finally prayed in Masjid Umayyah, probably after good 55 years, if not longer, to be honest. From so many other political events that happened even before Bashar al-Assad and Hafez al-Assad in this area. What is your assessment first of what is taking place? How are we, or should we be taking the events on the ground in Sham?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. I mean, definitely it's a huge happy moment for this, a huge celebration for the whole ummah for a tyrant to go down. This is something which it doesn't happen every day, and we have lots of tyrants that we need to basically, inshallah, take down. So alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. That being said, just removing the person on top sometimes doesn't change the regime. We've seen it in Tunisia, we've seen it in Egypt especially, with the counter-revolution and the Supreme Military Council taking over and creating a regime that's worse than Mubarak. What you need to understand is that what we as a Muslim ummah is missing is the political awareness to what's happening. We can easily be fooled. The Syrian army of Bashar al-Assad cannot crumble in 10 days like this. So there has been negotiations behind the scenes that were done before the rebel moved. There were, things basically were prepared. Bashar al-Assad agreed to things. His main people agreed to things, and they let the castle fall, as they say. So this is very important to understand. This is, some people might say this is very harsh to say, but this is the truth. The truth is that the same army that was bombing people with barrel bombs, had the Russians behind them, had a military capacity to smash the rebels back into a little corner in Idlib and a bit of Halab, Aleppo, does not just go down within days like that. This is not true. It's very hard to swallow, right? But this is part of how we get fooled all the time. Al-Julani is an American agent. We need to say it every single day to understand this. If we don't understand this, we're just gonna, give it 2 years, maybe less, Akhi Muhammad, and the situation of Syria will regress. Is it gonna go back to Assad style times? Inshallah, no. I think the country understands that, the people understand that. So how do we safeguard this, and how do we continue improving? Continuing improving is basically to keep the spirit of the revolution, to keep the people on their toes that they need to hold every single human accountable in any position of authority. And people need to continue to seek justice and to call for justice and to not keep their mouths shut upon any type of injustice. Right now, Syria and the Syrian people and the rebels and the Muslims in Syria are in a very, very tough position. You have the Kurds calling for at least an autonomous region
Mm.
that really kind of basically takes that part of northern Syria away from the Syrian people, really sets it up for a full secession for the future. The Druze, with the help of the Israelis, are calling also for a fully independent state, or at least a takeover by Israel. This is we heard this
Yeah,
just
yeah. This morning, I know these are one of the negotiations they're having with, I guess, negotiations with Israel is that they give them, or at least to be part of Israel. That's true. But Sheikh, let me. So, should there be Khilafah declared in Sham?
anybody who thinks of Khilafah in Sham is an idiot. Sorry to say it this way, very bluntly.
So that's what I'm saying. So here's the thing. Okay, so look, here's.
Give me a second so I can answer the question.
Okay,
it is actually haram. It is haram to even discuss the possibility of Khilafah in Syria. Why am I saying it's haram? Because the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam have taught us that a country that cannot defend itself from all sides,
right,
is not a country that can establish the deen of Allah. This is a hadith sahih narrated by the Rasul narrated on the authority of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he met Banu Shayban. Banu Shayban is a very strong tribe. That's where Al-Muthanna is from, and he was one of the three leaders that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to ask for nusra and to ask for support to establish the deen of Allah in that tribe. This is before Yathrib and before the Ansar. And the Al-Muthanna told him, look, we can defend you from the Arabs, all the Arabs. We are a strong tribe, we're courageous people, we believe in the cause. But we can't defend you from the Persians. And we have a pact with them, we have a treaty with them, and they are just behind, they're on the borders of Persia. And he told, what was the Rasul's answer? He says, Sadaqt. Yeah, Sadaqt is like, you are truthful. Yeah, he says, لا ينصر دين الله إلا من أحاطه الله من كل جانب. That the deen of Allah will not be given victory except by a nation or by a country that has full sovereignty across all of its, all the directions, the four directions, east, west, north, and south. And the Rasul just went his way to continue to fetch for a place that can become a place that Islam can be born in. So anybody that speaks about Syria cannot defend itself. Syria, the Israelis came and just smashed every military installation in the country.
No.
Only, this is you press the button here. Only weak-minded, deluded.
No, I agree. I think, look, people are. I guess
we need to grow up. Wallah al-Azim, we need to grow up. This is dumb to even speak about.
Here's the thing. I'm not. I don't know. It's a. So here's the thing. It's not. The question was meant to be more of, I guess, for the understanding, even my own. For instance, here, you know, Sheikh. I've been on the ground for 10 years in Syria. I mean, in and out. So I understand the map. I see what you're saying. I guess the question more is that what should be done with this victory? So on one hand, we are saying clearly that Jolani is an agent. Fine, if that's one. On the other hand, we're saying that, look, we cannot be calling for Khilafah now in this region here because it does not have the infrastructure that is needed in order to support the Khilafah. Not that we don't want the Khilafah. This infrastructure is not feasible. You have enemies on all sides. You have internal issues going on. The country is completely smashed to the ground, economically, in every possible way. Okay, so now what should we do? I mean, one, in my own mind, I'm thinking, okay, there is a transitional period. I mean, even if there, should the Muslim activists, those who want Islam, use transitional periods like this to somehow at least create awareness in the masses, saying that, look, this is the games being played with us and another revolution boils, or should we be pragmatic? and say,
Look, what you need, like, if it depends on the context. Inside Syria, akhi, the Muslims in Syria have two big problems. Okay, building a nation, literally
mm,
a nation building project. This
yeah,
has nothing to do with Islam or non-Islam. This has to do with basically building infrastructure, building
mm,
economy, excuse me, building energy independence, food independence, scientific advancement. Like, this is what we were talking about. The, this is a failed state. This is just a bunch of people running around. Let's just say it as it is. You
mm.
know, so they number one is they have a duty of building a nation. This nation cannot.
Under
They
what,
can.
Sheikh? Under what kind of ruling? I guess that's where everybody's confused about.
Doesn't
Under
matter.
what? Should it be civil, democratic? Uh,
Nobody's gonna allow you, ya akhi. Nobody's gonna allow you to have Islamic rule. So we need
sure,
to stop
sure,
that.
sure, fine. But
It
I'm
will be
asking,
the rule of
under what
kufr.
capacity should we build what we're the state building?
Look, it will be some rule of kufr,
Mm,
but we want the Muslimin at least to just try to. Look, right now we know the head of the state is an agent.
mm,
And the Americans will not give Syria to anybody who is not within their pockets. So what does the people need to do? They need to resist. The resistance needs to continue every day. The revolution needs to continue every day. Every sincere person in any administrative government in the country, let's say you are like a small manager in the Department of Agriculture. You apply as much Islam as you can, and Islam is a system of justice. So you apply the rules of Islam within your ability within in a government context, and you keep pushing. We keep pushing until basically we build a strong country. When we speak about Khilafah is an independent sovereign country. Okay, that rules by Islam. So if you don't have the independent sovereign piece, forget about Islam. Islam is not going to get there. Nobody's going to give you Islam who's not a Muslim. And the global powers basically have full control of the country. Anybody who says otherwise is delusional. You understand what I'm saying? The country doesn't get. The people of Syria right now cannot defend themselves. If
mm,
the Israelis can come in and go up to Aleppo, nobody can stop them. They have no means of defending themselves. They
mm.
can bomb the whole country upside down, carpet bomb it. No, they can't do anything.
I
All
mean,
right.
so far
So
they've already bombed maybe more than 300 times. I think
you see
just
that more than
uh,
350 in one
I
day.
think just yesterday was just yesterday was
Okay.
280 airstrikes. So I don't know what it is today and now, but so okay, so continue, Sheikh. So now what do we? Because I mean, you got to work under some framework. So I guess you're saying it's gonna be some kufr, some. I mean, what are we
That's
looking
right.
at? Turkish model for what's gonna happen in Syria?
يا حبيب قلبي, give me 1 second.
Fadl,
أخي
fadl.
Muhammad, we don't have a choice. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Mm,
The Americans are going to choose for the Syrian people. The Syrian people can resist. Yes, they can resist. But resist to do what? They can resist, sure. I can. This is what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that they need to keep the spirit of the revolution and the spirit of calling for justice every single day. The Syrian people are not going to enjoy life. This is not going to be. They're going to go now grab some pizza and burgers. I'm trying to tell you. The things going to shift into a despotic regime
mm.
that only serves American interests. If the Syrian people, this is just the beginning. The beginning of the real revolution is now. The Bashar al-Assad's people are still there. The people who left the regime early on, they will come back. The Americans going to install their men in all the posts that are important. So what does the Muslimin need to do? Well, they need to stop basically thinking about, what's the type of rule. We just need some justice and some space to do two things: is spread Islam as an idea to everybody, and more importantly, basically, I would say equally importantly, is to build a nation that's strong and sovereign and independent. You need to get Syria to an independent state, and then you can speak about, look, what do we need to be doing when the
But is
people
that
have no.
possible, Sheikh? Under such circumstances, is it possible? I mean,
والله
I mean, I guess, I mean, is it possible to at least make Syria Turkish type? Look, again, this is, I don't want people to come and say, are you looking for Turkish model here? No, I'm saying if we are going to talk about at least make the country independent enough to be independent, until then, what capacity? You're saying that, look, one thing, we need the Syrian people or the Muslims in Syria need to continue standing up, continue asking for justice. That means continue going to jails, continue all of that. Fine. but at the same time, you're saying that we have to make the country independent. So how is this possible, Sheikh, without any stability in the region or in the country
That's
even?
and that's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that the people need to continue to stand up for any oppression.
Mm,
They need to continue keep the country in a state of peace, because through peace and security there is development. So they have to push for keeping the country stable and keeping the country as one piece as possible and as peaceful as possible, and focus on nation building and the da'wah. That is it. And this might take 10, 20 years. And it
mm.
might, as you said, might not happen. I believe basically the Turks, I think the Syrian people should basically call the Turks to come and rule them. This is what I think that the best option for the Syrian people is to tell the Turks, we want your Ottoman history. Come over, take over Syria, protect us, and take over the land. We want you to take over the land.
You think Turks will do it? I think they tried that in the beginning of the revolution. The Turks, Erdogan,
And,
you know.
look, at the end of the day, you should make it. The people of Syria should make it clear. And the
Mhm.
Turkish Muslims. Look, it's our ummah will never get free when one country on its own works alone for Islam. It has to be a joint effort. So the Muslims in Turkey should call for the return of the Ottoman, rule, and the Syrians need to call for the return of the Ottoman rule, and the Iraqis needs to call for the return of the Ottoman rule, and the good Shia in Iran and the Sunnis in Iran needs to basically resist this despotic regime in Iran that is an agent, dictatorial regime that needs to also. They should have a revolution there, to be honest, to basically get rid of this filthy, disgusting regime. And the people in Pakistan, and the people in Morocco, and the people in Indonesia, and the people in Malaysia, and the people in Egypt, and the people in every Muslim country. We have 57 Muslim majority countries. They all need to start calling for the same direction, and one country should support another. Yani, I always speak about the American Revolution. People accuse me of many things because I do that, but I personally believe the American Revolution is a good blueprint. 13 little countries, yeah, we have 57, joined together to push the British colonialism out of America and become independent and build their, republic of choice. So understand very well that the Syrian people cannot maybe on their own reach a state of independence within the international community as set up right now within the 21st century. So they need to start speaking to the Turks, and the Turks. It's a change of ideas. It's ideas. When the Turkish people believe in Islam as a system of life, and they believe that they have responsibility towards their brothers and sisters in Syria, not just to put them in a bunch of tents basically on the border, things starts changing. But when the Syrian people are going to try to do it on their own, sometimes it's almost an impossible project.
Sheikh, certain groups that are out there, I don't want to mention the name, said, for instance, there has been ideas that maybe we should, maybe it's a good idea to set up emirates in different areas. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There has been groups that have said, for instance, let's say an Imara in Afghanistan, an Imara in here in Syria, an Imara in somewhere other place, Imara in another place, and at one point, you have at least in these areas certain states that are more Islamic, they're more cultured, and then you can maybe bring them together. This was at one point a discussion that had taken place in many parts of and very very serious parts of the Muslim group areas. Do you, I guess intellectually, do you see
Yeah.
that as a way of maybe
No,
uniting the Muslim
no,
lands?
no. This is a person who has zero political awareness speaking, and this is totally bogus, because these emirates only basically pop up in failed states. And Afghanistan is a failed state, and Syria is a failed state, and the Taliban are. Everybody knows, and people like to hide this fact. I have no idea. Were built by the ISI in Pakistan, the intelligence in Pakistan, with the orders of the Americans and the support and the funding of the Saudis. So the Taliban have also insincere agent, rogue elements that are leading the movement. I mean, right now, for example, the Taliban are pushing the women out of school and out of universities and colleges, and for what reason? right? So they're doing things just to. They're also firing anybody who's another, a specific sectarian, knowledge, for example. So they're creating the sectarian tensions. They're creating basically hate. They're making people hate Islam really with the way they're applying it. So this is what you're going to get also in Syria. You're going to get people who, sadly, will deform Islam. The reason that the Americans and the Egyptian leadership allowed Morsi to basically come to power is to show that Islamists cannot run a country and they will fail. And when you put people in a failed state and tell them, here you go rule and show the people what you guys can do, it will always basically backfire in our face. We as Muslims need to understand that we need to speak only to people who are sovereign, people who have sovereignty, or to leaders who have sovereignty of their own countries, and these are the people who can really change the situation.
I mean, in that case, what do we get? Turkey? I don't think of any. I can't think of Egypt. I mean, as far as infrastructure-wise, fine. I can say Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey. That's probably it. I can't think of any other country that could actually defend themselves, other than these three, or maybe Saudi Arabia. If Saudi was to actually, that's one thing. I mean, even defending means Pakistanis have to defend the Saudis. But is that so? You're saying those are the four countries we need to focus on, work on. At least they are independent countries in a sense. I mean, at least Turkey, let's say, is an independent country, and at the end, you're looking for an Ottoman rule.
I think you have way more countries than that that are basically like, if you exclude the small little tiny ones like Bahrain and Lebanon and Kuwait and so forth, you have way more people. Like, I mean, Emirate is one, Saudi is one, Morocco is one, Algeria is one, even Tunisia is one. Definitely, Algeria is a big one. Egypt is a big one. Nigeria.
But these are not
Saudi Arabia.
independent, as you said. I mean, these are not independent countries that, at least, the reason I'm saying Turkey is because at least it makes some of its own decisions. It's not, it does have some type of a say in how it's going to run its foreign policy, internally, externally. Other countries are directly told what to do. I mean, Pakistan, I mean, you've seen people, basically, Supreme Court was told to remove Imran Khan overnight, and they did it. So I guess
Yeah, let me tell you something. The problem with the Islamists is they've been dreaming about Khilafah for, like, let's say 100 years, and they want it in the next 2, 3 years, 4 years. Khilafah cannot come for at least 25 years. Okay, this is the reality. So people need to focus on the prerequisite.
Is there another Islamist saying that in 25 years?
Say again?
No, I'm saying I mean, you are calling us Islamists. I'm saying, are you saying another Islamist is saying 25 years?
Yes, you can say that. I'm just saying the traditional Islamists. How's that?
Fine. Sheikh, let me there's a lot of, there's a lot of dynamics at play here. The role of rebellion, actually, no, let me draw a scenario that I have observed in the last at least 5 to 6 years. I don't know if this is by design, which probably is. I mean, nothing in politics happens out of luck. Recently, Bangladesh happened. You have Hasina that's taken out within literally 12 days also. A country that people have been trying to remove her for almost, same thing, about 10, 15, 20 years. Then somehow there is more friendly Islamic faces that are brought in. Now, Muslims, Muslim activists are being given a bit more of a space to speak, and you see protests in the, talks in the masajid, this, that. Then before that, you saw Afghanistan situation where there is another, let's say, Muslim-friendly government. You might actually see that now in Syria, same kind of, situation. Sheikh, is this a trend? Is this another, you think, trend to stabilize Middle East, or to redesign the Middle East? Would this be the new trend?
Yeah, sadly, the trend is a bunch of basically destabilization and cracking these countries into pieces. This is the trend that the Americans want. See, look at Libya, look at Sudan, look at Syria, look at Iraq, look at even Lebanon. Might basically is kind of, there are lots of fault lines that we saw in the last war, basically where the Christians were calling for their own little state within Lebanon.
Mm.
So it's sadly it's a trend. Now the Americans. Let's discuss geopolitics now in a little bit bigger view.
Yeah, no, I'll come down to that. But there are a few things that I
America-
want you to cover, and then we'll come down to the world situation,
yeah.
that what America's planning, even with China. But
Mm.
we'll go there.
طيب. So anyway, are these countries going to be stable? Let's see. Let's see if America wants stability a little bit. I mean, the stability of the Middle East can only have one advantage for the United States, is so they can focus on China.
Mm.
But do they really want a stable Middle East? We don't know yet. We need to see the policy in the next few years to come, basically.
Sheikh, another thing. Okay, so fine, maybe a trend to somehow stabilize the Middle East. Second,
See, but hold on a second. Let me tell you something. The stability doesn't mean development. Is Afghanistan developing? Will Syria develop? That's the question. We as Muslims need for the next at
I
least
mean,
2
is
decades
Afghanistan
now.
developing? Look, I was there last 20 days. I spent
Okay.
the last 20 days there. Is it developing? I mean, I guess I don't know what the definition of development is for you, but as far as roads are being developed, there's a lot happening in Afghanistan. That's for sure.
But it's good.
What they're
So that's what
missing
I'm
is
saying.
there's a brain drain for sure. They're losing 40,000 people a day. People are just leaving because of the weird, stupid policies that they have put in place. Women can't go to school or
You
girls
see
can't go to
how it
school.
works?
That's true, and I see how that effect on what's happening there. But at the
And
same
that's on
time,
purpose. And that's on purpose. This is a problem. Like, this is where the people look. Us as
mm,
Muslims, we're not free people. We
mm.
have only one choice: to keep resisting every single day in all 57 Muslim countries. We have to resist every single day for justice and for we Muslims need to stop asking for khilafah now, and for the next 2 decades ask for development and justice.
But
At
then
least a
people
minimum.
forgot even the idea of the Khilafah, Sheikh. I mean, it took
No,
such
no,
a
no,
long time to
no,
even
not
make the
really.
Muslims aware of that there is such thing, and now you're saying,
That's emotional talk. That's emotional talk. This is the traditional Islamist emotional talk. Who said we're going to forget it? They need. If we have
I wish the
security.
traditionalists. By the way, I really do wish the traditionalist Muslims actually even
No, no, no,
spoke
no, no,
about
no. Not
Khilafah.
traditional.
But
No, the traditionalists. No, the traditionalists. We don't even. I said traditional Islamists. It's a
fine,
new term I just made up
I,
today.
I I think so. This is very interesting. All right.
It is new. It's a new term I just coined. But let's focus. Let's focus a little bit on the discussion. The discussion should be the Muslimin should have leeway for them to basically be Muslim, be themselves, have some form of justice within these countries and some form of security. With justice and peace, you will be able to actually do development and da'wah. So this is the framework that I'm presenting today. Justice and peace, yeah, will basically allow you to do the two Ds, the da'wah and development. That's it. The da'wah needs to continue, but we should not basically be in a rush. It's okay. If we have khilafah in 50 years, not a big deal. But right now, we need to move in the right direction. The right direction is to make our countries strong enough, developed enough for them to become independent actors in the geopolitical world, on the game of nations. That's what we need to be doing.
Sheikh, there is another. Some might say another trend, which is when it comes to rebellion. I mean, look. I mean, I asked this question before in another show, and the answer was that look, rebellions are only happening. I mean, usually because of occupation. But for instance, Taliban. Uh, let's say they take over the country after a rebellion of 20 years. Now you have a situation now here in Syria, a rebellion takes place. Fine, it didn't come to the conclusion that we wanted. But do you think you are going to see more this type of rebellion within countries where Muslim countries, especially when what we are seeing that, I mean, is this can this be a success model? First of all, can this rebellion of rebellion in a sense that not to rebel against the rulers, those things? I'm not talking this way. I'm from actually infrastructure perspective here of a revolution. A rebellion is must, or
Okay,
is
let me
it
tell
a
you
coup
something.
d'état?
They remember. Well, the coup d'état means basically you're really the idea of coup d'état is totally misunderstood within again the Islamist circles. A coup can only happen when you have the infrastructure for a coup. And the
Sure.
infrastructure of the coup is not just within the military, it's outside the military through the intelligence agencies, maybe through the police, through the judiciary, through the business community, through the political parties, through the tribes, if there's a tribal, social, mesh or whatever you want to call it.
Social
So,
networks, sure.
and then that's why the Western powers who have access to all these social segments have been able to conduct coup d'états. So we need to put that aside. What we want as Muslims, we must rebel against tyranny. If there's tyranny and torture and imprisonment in a country, every single person in that country should rebel without a doubt. Nobody
Mm.
should basically stay silent when their brothers and sisters are getting tortured and raped. This is unacceptable. But if the regime gives, let's say, enough justice, enough leeway for people to be, then khalas, that's fine. We don't need to right now. Basically, the change should happen peacefully. No rebellion. This is my belief. This is what I believe in the seerah of the Rasul is that change has to happen through a conversation, through a discourse, a social discourse that includes the people in power who right now might be implementing kufr. There's no problem with that.
No, but
In Egypt, for example,
conversation with who? You're saying conversations with those who can change the situation. So those
for
conversations need
example,
to happen.
yeah, like in Turkey, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Algeria, in these countries, should take the conversation. In many other countries, even Morocco and so forth, there has to be a conversation that happens with people. But there also has to be push for more justice and more security and more development. You see what I'm saying? So justice and peace needs to happen. And people need to push for that. So yeah, at the end of the day, people need to push bit by bit for change to happen. But if you're going to take some of these regimes that are not developed, who's going to basically risk their country to establish Islam and have it basically smashed the next day? You know what I'm saying? So what do people, what do the traditionalists, basic traditional Islamists say to this? Oh, you don't believe in Allah, you have no tawakkul. This is a gibberish that we hear. We need to stop that. There's sunan for the world, and there's sunan for how societies change. This social mechanics needs to be understood by every activist.
Sheikh, there are movements who think this way. I mean, the way you're thinking. I mean, there are uh, Muslim Brotherhood. I don't want to. I just they for the longest time, they focused on the development of the Muslim land, or but I guess maybe on the social end uh, more than developing the country. But they also, I mean, how far did they go?
I believe. First of all, no, what I'm saying is definitely does not equivalent to what the Muslim Brotherhood are saying. The difference is big. This is the difference. The difference is that we need to stop these congregations. I think the Islamic groups in the Muslim world needs to either just disband themselves and just basically focus to be a good citizen that can help develop the countries, or focus on basically calling for specifically development and justice. That's it.
I mean, the calling for, I mean, what, as disorganized members
Hold
of,
on
I
one
mean,
second.
good citizens means what, Sheikh? I mean, there's a lot of, they're putting in there's a lot of stuff here going on. I mean, I don't know. Good citizens of what?
Well, again, I'm saying if they can't do it right, then khalas. These groups basically, what do these groups do? They threaten the regimes, and the regimes basically crack down upon them again. No, what they need to do is basically call for something that's more acceptable in society,
I mean,
which is
that
just
means what? Humanitarian organizations. That's what you want?
well, it's not like that. It's not about humanitarian. Humanitarian is like basically feeding people and
No,
taking
no.
care
I
of
mean, no,
orphans.
no. I mean, look. You
I'm,
could have a humanitarian organization
I'm
that is
speaking. I'm
focused on
speaking that.
developing.
Hold your horses. I'm speaking basically about a movement that calls for at least just justice in the country and development. Stop basically bringing Islam to the picture and calling for Islamic rule. Nobody's going to accept it. You need to accept that nobody's going to accept it,
Mm,
and make these countries more. Well, the main reason that's why even sincere people in the positions of power do not accept Islamic rule is because they will be smashed.
mm.
So if you tell them, look, let's forget about Islamic rule. Let's work together to make the country stronger, to make you stronger, to make this country better. Stop calling for Sharia and for Khilafah for the next couple decades, because it's not working. We need to understand that. Some people basically believe this is like a betrayal to the Islamic cause. No, this is thinking, understanding our mistakes for the last 70, 80, 90 years, and understanding what led to the denial of the good people in the positions of power. Are you telling me there's no good people in the whole Muslim world in positions of power? No, there is. And they want what you want, but they can't do it because it's physically impossible. We need to understand that and stop being, mythical.
No, but no. Hold on, Sheikh. Look, we haven't had that because governments never give you the chance to even build the country. I mean, how long has it been since Iran tried to even get a nuclear weapon? Hold on, Sheikh. Look. Let's look at this thing of what you're saying. How many countries that we go ahead?
I'm trying to tell you the call for justice and development is going to be a call that can be accepted by the whole nation. The whole nation is not going to agree with Sharia now. So call for something that will be accepted by everybody, which is more justice and more development. Who doesn't want justice and development? Who doesn't want more peace and justice and security?
No. I guess what I'm saying is when you even say that development, because even
who doesn't want basically social net?
I mean, look,
mobilize the people, at least get your country into a state of sovereignty, because only sovereign states can build khilafah. Just understand that.
Okay, but see, that's what I'm asking you. I'm saying that you're saying that, look, tell the people we need to develop this country to a point where it becomes independent, and independent countries can call for khilafah. But that has to be part of the narrative that we give. Is that what you're saying?
Beginning? Yeah, definitely. But the da'wah cannot stop. The da'wah to Islam cannot stop. The da'wah to establish khilafah in semi...
No, because you're saying, so who does that? Individuals do it? Because you're saying dismantle all the Islamic movements.
Oh, build the new ones. I think we need to build new ones.
Okay.
We are. I think those old movements basically were good for last century. They're not good for this century. And at the head of those is Ikhwan al-Muslimin.
I mean, I didn't want to put that. I didn't want to put any. No, I don't want to bring. It's just I bought that model because you were saying that let's look for to
all the movements. Let me be very frank. All the movements that were born 100 years ago are movements that basically did great work for the 14th century Hijri. They were part of the Tajdeed movement of the last century. And khalas, they're not helping in this century. I think we need new movements, new thinking, new leadership, new blood in the Islamic movement. This is what I'm saying.
Sheikh, okay, so that needs to be fleshed out and exactly what that means, because obviously this would mean a very organized attempt to. I mean, it can't happen without being organized. So obviously, then you're also saying, okay, there needs to be movements, but the movements need to understand today's dynamics, because many of them have become. In some ways, I do agree that many of them have become almost useless in many ways.
Almost is a nice word.
Fine, you give me a. That's true. In some ways, I can say I can. They have become useless. I'm sorry.
I'm saying you were the one who invited me here. It's your fault, I'm a straight shooter, like these.
Oh no, fine. I want you to be straight shooter. Look, this is a conversation that I'm sure people are going to look, like, hate, whatever it is. But look, I Sheikh, let me. You don't think you're being look. Okay, let me ask it another way here, because I'm thinking in my own head here. You're calling Jolani an agent, fine. But why can't I say Jolani is thinking the way you're thinking, saying let's develop Sham, and then let's make it sovereign, and then let's talk about what you want to talk about. But for that, I need time. I can't call for Khilafah.
Look, the issue is we know Jolani. Where did he come from, and where he was? How did he start his
fine?
movement?
Wherever he came from, let it go. Look, he could be, as you said. Look. You're saying there are many people within these governments that are very sincere.
The concept of speaking about people. If you want to speak about people in specific, we have to discuss them.
No, but
Al
I'm
Qaeda.
talking, let's say, a conceptual framework here. So if you
Let
have,
me,
no,
I
no, no,
listen
let
to
me
you. So
finish the question, Sheikh, because I'm forgetting a lot of things when you, uh,
let me
uh,
explain myself. Well, figure out your thoughts and then ask me the question as you want.
here,
Let me clarify this in
okay,
the
go ahead.
meantime. ISIS and Al Qaeda are two products that the CIA have invented. So, especially ISIS, it's full American product, and Al Qaeda also is an American product. So, they're both un-Islamic as it gets to be. So, we know that the leaders of these movements are fully agents of the United States, and they caused already havoc and chaos in the revolution. Any Syrian knows that. The
Mm.
Syrian people know that Julani and his groups have attacked the rebels and did not attack the regime back then, between 2011 and 2016, until the movement, until the revolution failed. So people should not forget that. People know that, right? So if you want to speak about conceptual as a project, it's fine. I'm calling for the Syrian people to say, look, let's build Syria first, and then let's basically talk about Islam later, right? Because even the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't go and discuss with Al-Muthanna and tell him, look, let's establish Islam first, and then we'll take care of the rest later. No, he told him, sadaqt. He says, you're truthful, O man. The deen of Allah cannot be given victory except by a fully sovereign state. So our states are not sovereign. So what
I
are you
got it.
calling for?
I got it. But I'm going with your thoughts here for a moment.
Mhm.
Let's follow with what you were saying. There are
Yes.
many sincere people within governments that want Islam, but they're saying that, look, we don't have power. There is nothing. Sometimes yes, there's not even enough public opinion within the ground. The work has not been done in order for you to even. I mean, you could establish Islam and even people overthrow you. I understand this, but the thing what I'm asking is that the pragmatism. I'm not saying that you're being pragmatic, but on what we're seeing as far as, let's say, fine, when I say Jolani, you're saying that, look, we know that this guy is an agent. Okay, fine, let's even go with that. But if he in his mind is saying, uh look, Sheikh, his own uh constant changing of colors from ISIS to Qaeda to Jabhat al-Nusra to Jund al-Sham, whatever it was, and then after that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, and now I think it's just basically the Syrian government. That shows the guy is very pragmatic. He's able to, I guess, go with the flow. And now, if somebody was to ask him now today that, look, and they did. Somebody did ask him. A journalist the other day I was watching asked him that, look, man, you've been attacked 280 times. There's been strikes. Are you not thinking about that? There were some other questions. He said, the country is not ready for war. They're too tired of fighting. We need to build the country, and then we can think about what we need to do and build the security and build the country. So is he not saying the same thing that you're saying?
يا أخي يعني Trump forget it, Julani. Trump said, we want the Syrian people to choose their destiny, to choose their future. So what does that mean? He's becoming the Khalifa of the Muslimin.
No. But I'm asking you. Okay, so okay, look.
I'm answering the question. I'm answering the question.
Go
I'm
ahead.
telling you that Trump is lying and Julani is lying. But if the Syrian people need to push and make sure that they get that, because sadly, bit by bit, the country is going to go into a wrong trajectory. Right now, just due to the emotions in the country, even the Americans are trying to appease the Syrian people.
Yeah,
bit by bit, everybody,
very clear.
listen to this. Listen to this. Bit by, give it 6 months, a year. People will get busy with their lives. People want to get married, get jobs. People want to focus on themselves and their families. People will go back. So this revolutionary fervor will go away. So the Americans, they know what they're doing, and that's why everybody's going to appease the Syrian people. Trump is appeasing the Syrian people with words, empty words, and Julan is appeasing the Syrian people with empty words. Trump will not basically delude me in thinking that he's a good guy. Same thing with Julan. He's not going to delude me in thinking he's a good guy. We know that Julan is an agent. That's a fact. We need to stop discussing that.
Understood. So you're looking should technocrats run the country?
Yeah, technocrat. The Muslims. See, I'm calling for the revolutionary fervor to continue, to stay every day. Push back. Let them appease you because they're scared of you. Push back on any injustice. Push back on any type of nepotism. Push back on any authoritarianism. Push back on any. That's it. We need to basically make sure we hold people accountable. I think that the Ummah in Syria, the Muslimin in Syria, should have accountability councils for every part of the government.
Okay.
We need to have checks and balances.
Should that be the same thing in Turkey? Or are you
again?
saying just for it's one thing for Syria? Fine, I can understand that you're saying that Syria is not ready or infrastructure wise, it cannot even defend itself right
Turkey
now.
is a little bit
Okay,
different. Turkey is a little bit different.
that's what I'm going. So are you saying Turkey, when it comes to Turkey, Turkey, we need to call for the establishment of the Khilafah, but in Sham, that's not impossible. That's impossible.
Look, Erdogan have opened the space enough for people to work Islamically to a certain extent.
Fine.
The Muslim people, and he helped in developing the country to a certain extent. So we know that he did not come to power without the support of Western countries, certain Western countries. We know that his biggest teacher and mentor, Erdogan, accused him of being an American agent. So what we need to do is keep pushing the da'wah of making Turkey more independent of the West, and Turkey to become stronger and stronger and stronger. So, for example, the Erdogan bought the S-400 against the will of the Americans. The Americans were so furious they kicked him out of the F-35 project. That's a big deal, by the way. Only very few countries on planet Earth were into the F-35 project. So we need to push. We need to convince the Turks that, look, you guys are men. You need to be sovereign in your countries. You should not listen to any dictation that's against your interests as a country, and become a world power. When Turkey becomes a world power, that's when basically you have a real sovereign country that can establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can say the cause is a little bit different, because Erdogan did basically kind of introduce, like, which one is better, a secular Kemalist ruling Turkey or Erdogan? Definitely Erdogan. I mean, I say it very, very out loud. I told my Turkish students to vote for Erdogan in the last elections, and I'm still in favor of that. And I know that basically the AKP is not going to bring Islam back. I know that. But what we want two things: peace and justice, so we can do development and da'wah. This is what we need to understand. These four words: peace and justice, that allows us to do development and da'wah. And then, inshallah, when we become an independent sovereign nation, then we can discuss, khilafah, or at least if the ideas penetrate because of the da'wah in the minds of people, and then on their own they cannot become a world power. That's when we speak about the mergers. That's what I'm saying. Go back to the American Revolution. Every state in the 13 colonies could not have been able to push back the British, but together, united, they've been able to push the British. So maybe Turkey plus Syria plus Iraq plus Saudi Arabia.
When you look at U.S., I'm just looking at the example you're giving. I mean, there's a lot you're saying that needs discussion, but even when you're giving the example of United States, Sheikh, United States, these are not nation. They were not nation states. I mean, that's a dynamic that is at play. I mean, United States, when you're saying that, look, at the end they came together.
They were separate states.
Separate states, and they still, but separate states, but with not a nation state. No.
Yeah, it was similar to a nation state because every state has its own government. That's it.
That's they have till now. I mean, every state has its own government.
Yeah, but there's a federal state above it. So I'm trying to say these states cooperate. Did they had a federal state that connected them? No. What I'm trying to say is that they collaborated together to kick the colonialists. So even basically right now, for example, as a second step, if Turkey and, let's say, Pakistan and Egypt and Saudi Arabia and like some countries in the Middle East, they do what the BRICS is doing. So China and Russia, they're trying to create a pact of countries to resist the Americans. How come basically the Muslims don't think like that? If we can get leadership that has at least some sensibility, some even nationalistic secular leaders that are actually at least sincere to their own countries, where they basically say, you know what, we need to form, let's say, an Islamic dinar. Let's basically, like the EU, unite together basically on an economic level, blah, blah, support each other. It's a good first step, right? So at the end of the day, will the West accept it? No, the West is not going to accept it. So that's why these people need to be ideologically driven. If they're ideologically driven, they're not going to go into some intermediary fake state.
But Sheikh, you're saying ideologically. Who should be ideologically driven? The countries?
The leaders of the countries.
Ideologically, which, as capitalist, as Islamic, which ideology?
No, when I say ideological, I say it's Islamic.
Yeah, I know, but then you're saying that we should work. Or
that's the da'wah. The da'wah needs to continue, akhi, with the da'wah for khilafah.
There's a lot of confusion in my head. And look, and you're gonna. So I am questioning this, but look, when you say that, look, you're telling your students to vote for this Erdogan guy, whatever. But here's the thing: I'm asking you, if you're going to be an ideologue, ideologically, that's a compromise.
No, in your mind, it's a compromise. That's what I'm saying. That's
so,
why.
Okay, so flush that out. How's
that?
Hold on. No, I'm saying, I'm talking, just ideologically, you're saying that, look, let's work with the capitalist.
Okay,
you're not saying.
I'm trying to tell you basically that Hizb ut-Tahrir, just like the Ikhwan.
No, I'm not saying. I don't know why you're bringing. I'm asking ideologically. Forget about Hizb ut-Tahrir or Ikhwan Muslimin. We're talking about ideologically. No. I'm talking as ideological Muslim who looks at things a certain way. So I have an ideological understanding of saying, okay, look, I understand what compromise means. Okay, hold on. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Flush that out for me. When you say let's work with the capitalist, I mean, Erdogan is a capitalist. Unless you say no, he's not.
I'm trying to say we need to desecularize the Muslim mind. If you
ask me, Sheikh, telling them to support secular leaders?
Yeah, because this is lesser of the two evils, definitely.
Okay,
you want
there's another point.
You want the secular Kemalists to come in? Look,
that's what I'm asking you. What I'm asking you to do. See, look, this is like one of those arguments where you say, okay, if I say this, then if I don't have an answer, let me just say Kemalists. You want the Kemalists to come in? I'm sure you don't think like that. So I'm asking you. I mean, are you asking me? Let's say you and I forget about Kemalists or non-Kemalists. Me as an ideological Muslim, are you asking me to say, okay, for 1 minute, compromise on ideological grounds and say it's okay for now, let's be a bit pragmatic and support Erdogan?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I think your background with Hizb ut-Tahrir and the ideas that you guys have.
I don't know why you're bringing that up, Sheikh. That's not fair. I mean, I'm a human being. I have a mind. I studied Islam for 20 years. I have schools from Deoband. I have teachers from Salafi background. I have teachers I've studied 7-8 years. That has nothing to do with Hizb or Ikhwan or whatever. This has to do with me studying ideology as ideology. So I'm asking. That's what I'm asking you. I mean, how do I work out a framework to do this? Is what I'm asking.
No, it's very simple. I think in the Sharia, it tells us basically. For example, let's discuss this lesser of two evil. Turkey as a country is better with, let's say like one quarter Islamist in power, right? Erdogan, at the end of the day, he is a very pragmatist. He comes from the Ikhwan Muslimin. They believe basically, fake it until you make it. This is what they believe in. I don't believe in that for myself. I'm trying to say, when I wanted to give Turkey on a golden platter to the Kemalists, the CHP, definitely we're going to go as an ummah and say no, hell no, and we're going to keep our country with a little bit more Islam than giving it to the secular kafir. So this is called the lesser of two evils in the fiqh, in the usul of all the four madhahib. So I don't know what you're talking about. This Puritan mindset.
I didn't say anything. I just said that ideologically it set that framework. So you're
That's
saying
okay, it's wrong. It's not correct. I think we need to basically grow up and mature a little bit and understand that this is not a compromise. This is the right thing to do. I would say you're compromising Islam and Turkey and the Muslimin when you give Turkey to the CHP, right? So we need to continue making da'wah every single day to every single Muslim in the world to desecularize the Muslim mind. Let me explain what that means first. The Muslimin right now, in their millions and tens of millions, see Islam as something personal, as something that's really more or less ritualistic, spiritual, personal. And then anything else is at best is a bonus, right? If we have Islam in politics, it's a bonus. So people need to understand that the aqidah of La ilaha illallah means one thing and only one thing: that the sovereign over humanity, is only Allah and nobody else. So when people are like that, they're not going to get comfortable with anybody who is implementing kufr, secularism, or capitalism in government. But at the end of the day, there's a tariqah, there's a prophetic method of how to get to rulership. And I just explained that the Rasul ﷺ didn't tell Banu Shayban, let's implement Islam even if we don't have sovereignty. So you have to put 1 + 1 = 2 together to understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm okay with Erdogan staying in power rather than the Kemalists taking over until we convince the Turkish public that we need a full Islamic governance in Turkey. You understand?
So that's what I'm asking you. You're saying, okay, fine. You need to work with the people and say we need Islam. And
But I said basically we need to
okay,
development and da'wah.
I know,
gives
but
us a
there's okay. So let's go on to. I mean, there's, as I said, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, each one of your statements in the last probably half an hour need a whole discussion by itself, even on the issue of
and the reason, and the
two of
reason, and the
lesser
reason
of two
is,
evils. Because I mean, you're saying
and the
this is
reason,
a fiqh issue. Go ahead.
and the reason is because look, may Allah bless you, Allah barak fikum, you've been in the da'wah scene for a long time, so you're very familiar with the Ikhwani rhetoric, the Tahriri rhetoric, the Tablighi rhetoric, the Sufi rhetoric, and the Salafi rhetoric. I'm not of any of those. Okay, I'm a new.
Sure.
I have a new narrative, and that's why
You're saying mix. You're mixing. You're saying mix everything.
Well, that's really from a development perspective, not from a viewpoint perspective. The viewpoint is unique, and alhamdulillah, yani, nahmadullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have blessed us with a unique understanding that we're offering to the ummah. So it's bit by bit.
But Sheikh, the understanding has been there. This is not new what you're offering. I mean, this has been there in many different ways. People have been saying support Erdogan for the last 10 years. He's been around in the beginning. I mean, this is not new. Come on, this is something that.
You thought that I was Ikhwan Muslimin.
No. I gave that as an example. I said, look, when you talk about social development or in general development, I said, look, Ikhwan for the longest time has said that, look, let's develop, and they have. They tried development, Egypt, they've many places, including Sham. But that's what I was asking you. Where did it get us? And then the whole conversation went to this whole idea of lesser of two evils. Even with the lesser of two evils, Sheikh, yani, where has this taken us in the last 50 years, for God's sakes? I mean, even the lesser of two evils is not a new discussion. It's just
it is a very new discussion, definitely. It's a new
and it keeps changing as different changes happen in the Muslim world. I mean, can we so look, Sheikh, at the end of the day, with all of these discussions, where you're saying we have nowhere to go at this point other than develop, become independent, and then call for change.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. What I'm saying is the following: the Islamic movement, with the Muslim Brotherhood and Hizb ut-Tahrir in specific, because those are the two big heavyweights that are trying to create political change in the Muslim world. The other ones are ritualistic and spiritual. Hizb ut-Tahrir and the Muslim Brotherhood had failed miserably. They need to basically disband themselves, and khalas. We need to start thinking in new ideas and build new movements in the ummah.
That's what I'm asking. Let's say this, because this is the important issue. I mean, they are big hitters, and to be honest, I think they will remain big hitters for a long coming time. But just because of the constant changes in the Muslim world, and to be honest, they're the ones in many ways offering something that is not just a pragmatic solution. I mean, let's develop. I don't know what that develop means. I mean, look, I'll give you an example. For my parents, when we talked about change, it was always that, look, you guys need to become doctors, engineers. You guys need to do this and this and this, and we are behind. Hold on. Let me ask the full question. Let me ask the full question, Sheikh.
The development I'm speaking about is not the personal development only.
No, Sheikh. No. Hold on. But see, personally, this was the issue. All you're changing.
Cultural development, self-sustainable energy sources, self-sustainable food sources. Pushing the people in power to basically at least give in into some of that, get people into the positions of power that basically will carry
I understand that, Sheikh, but look, I'm a political scientist. Look, Sheikh, alhamdulillah, master's in political science. I studied political science. I did work on development. I have a master's in disaster management also. That's one of the reasons I work in disaster zones. One of the things has been is that the West has never allowed us to develop. Development for them has always had a limit to how far anyone can go. And that no one can develop further to a point where it can threaten Western interest in general. This has been the framework for the last whatever years. Even if we talk about China or if we talk about any other developed nations, those guys.
Okay, this is wrong. This is totally false.
What is false?
Turkey is building right now a 5th generation fighter jet that will be replacing their F-35 which they're paid for actually to America. So Erdogan, in let's say 20 years, made Turkey a global player in the military industrial complex area, right?
Yeah,
So
with the lira at $34. At 34, Sheikh. I mean, I'm sure you understand the currency and what's happening in Turkey as
but
you speak.
that's how the Americans are punishing them. I understand. The direct foreign investment basically were pulled out of Turkey and so forth. So what I'm trying to tell you, we need people, maybe like Erdogan, that builds countries that are a little bit strong. America cannot push
But
around
Sheikh,
Turkey.
that's exactly Ikhwan Muslimin talk. I mean, you're telling me not to say that, but that's exact words of Ikhwan Muslimin.
Who said that? Who said that? Basically, the Ikhwan
So you
Muslimin
are
are
saying,
full.
okay, so you are saying, but you're calling to dismantle them, but that's exactly what they say in Turkey. Every time I'm in Turkey, if I'm having discussions, if there are people with that background, they'll say, look, man, Erdogan is the Sultan. This guy has developed Turkey in ways that no one has been able to. I mean, you see the new dams, you see the new bridges, you see Turkey,
Yeah,
Istanbul developed. So
seriously, you have to, this conversation is. I feel it's not going anywhere.
no.
This
I guess I'm just challenging you in
always
some ways to
you
make
are.
sure I get things clear.
Well, you're not getting things clear because you're always putting me in a box of either Ikhwan or Tahrir. Ikhwan
I'm
or
not.
Tahrir.
You are the ones who are giving the names, Sheikhi.
I'm
I'm
telling
just
you,
saying, from what we've seen the last 50 years, right? Many of the arguments that you are presenting has been there. This is not new. What you're presenting is not new
what
at all.
I'm trying to tell you is the following: that the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, with all their perspectives, yeah, when they apply all the perspective together, they failed. Hizb al-Tahrir, with all their perspective, they failed. I think we need to have a mix and match between both of them to have the right formula. You understand?
All right, let's go to the questions. Now let's do public questions
Is
here.
this clear? Is this clear or no?
Is it clear to me? No, I think
Yes.
no. I mean, there's a lot that has to be discussed, Sheikh, because but I'm gonna go to the questions
But
because people are going crazy over there.
you're taking one thing that's Ikhwani,
Oh,
and
not
you're
at
saying,
all.
well, Ikhwan, this is what
What I'm
Ikhwan.
saying, Sheikhi, that look, you said you're presenting a new thought. I'm saying this has been a discussion that has been in the minds of, and Ikhwan has presented this in many,
Let
many
me ask you a
different ways.
question. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. If Erdogan right now, for the last 20 years, in addition to the development of Turkey, also have, let's say, created a revolution within the educational system to teach ideological Islam, do you think Khilafah would be more possible in Turkey or no than today?
No, I agree. I agree. But see, the
You see how
problem, but see, what
you
happens
see
is
how,
this.
but
Let me,
you see how. Yeah, tell
okay.
me. Go ahead. But
So,
can Erdogan do it today? Can Erdogan, for example, try today to start, Islamicizing the curriculum?
no, actually, to be honest, Sheikh, look, Erdogan came. I don't know. I mean, I'm in Turkey often, so and I have these type of discussions with a lot of you there, and it's a very lively discussions, by the way, in Turkey. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. I mean, people are discussing the way you're saying. Alhamdulillah. I'm never against discussion, and discussions need to happen. This is why I'm having with you too, Sheikh. Yani don't take this in any other way other than to a discussion with intellectuals trying to understand our situation, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be us who solve the problems, this ummah and the scholars of this ummah, thinkers of this ummah, intellectuals of this ummah. So there is no, this is the kind of discussions that need to take place and need to take place publicly. And I wish these kind of discussions actually take place, inshallah, even in Sham, openly in public on TV channels, that so ummah becomes more and more aware. The thing, Sheikh, is that, when we talk about Erdogan, and I really didn't want to make this issue about Erdogan, but people are impressed by him, including inside Turkey, yes. But look, Sheikhi, this is the same person when you talk to the Arabs inside Turkey. Like, look at the Kurds situation. The Kurds, and I'll come to the Syrians too. The Kurdish, for the longest time, the Kurds loved Erdogan, and then because he was talking Islam, and he is very good. He's a very smart man. He knows how to play his cards. And maybe he's the one teaching Jolani right now. I don't know. But he when he turned nationalistic to a level where it was becoming Turkish nationalism, he lost a lot of support even from the Kurds. Then it went down. Then that happened to play the voting card, and he got that, and then unfortunately he lost the Kurdish support. Then happened with the Syrians, where economy is falling apart completely in Turkey, and then the blame to who? Or let's blame the Syrian refugees inside Syria, and hell breaks out. I'm sure you saw what is happening with the Syrians inside Turkey. It's a hell for Syrians to live inside Turkey, and many of them do want to go back. Some of them are stuck. Let's see how that plays, with the Syrians inside Turkey. And believe me, if you talk to average Syrian who does not have money, they had the kind of life that they had to live in Turkey for the last whatever years. I mean, you just hear the stories. So I don't know, that whole Islam thing, and that what he played with this, and I know most of it he played only to get some support from the Islamists in Istanbul, and then he continuously got that, and then he fooled them many times. But and those are people like like me who are on the ground, who have seen the whole situation in Syria and in Turkey. So that's a challenge. When you say that, for me it's not reality. For me it's all gymnastics in order to get a vote. That's all it is. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I observed. Again, that's only that's my observation inside Turkey. But going back to geopolitics here, Sheikh, in Syria itself now, if somebody what is the end goal in Syria now? Now, what happens now with all of our discussions on the side? What happens in Syria now?
I think I answered this question.
No. Now give me, because look, we gotta go somewhere. We have to go somewhere, Sheikh. Where do we go? Support pragmatism, or call for Islam, or call for mix of both? I don't know.
Well, I already answered this question. I told you basically Syrian people right now needs to basically continue pushing to keep their country within a state of justice. If they lose the justice, they'll be oppressed. Lack of justice is oppression. What does that mean? That means basically the first people will be hit are the Islamists. Really, the Islamists maybe even wrong word in this context. Maybe anybody who calls for Islam, Islamists or not, basically will be oppressed. So the Muslim Ummah in Syria must keep and maintain their push against any person in authority, and build accountability councils to oversee every single task in government. This is the only way. They need to oversee the military force itself, the police force itself, to set up judiciary in a way that's independent of the state. So if they build the check and balances in this government, even if it's weak, and it cannot basically establish Islam for them, again, Islam, as I said, can basically be implemented by individuals within their roles, because Islam is justice anyway. So people can create different administrative rules and bills in the legal system that conforms to Islamic teachings, without basically announcing that Syria is an Islamic khilafah or Islamic governance, whatever it is, until they reach the point of sovereignty, full sovereignty, right? And sovereignty cannot basically be attained without national development.
Sheikh, let's take the questions. Go ahead, Sheikh. Do you want? Okay, let's put up the question. What is your proof? Can you go back? I can't see that, Sheikh. Yeah, okay. I'm sure you knew this question was coming up. What is your proof that Julani is a traitor?
I already explained. He's a traitor because of, let's say, three things. Number one, that these groups that he established are all established by the Americans, ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Number two, as you can see, CNN and most of the American media and the European media have, this guy is supposed to be a terrorist on the terrorist list. He became like, a big Hollywood star almost for some of the Westerners right now.
I think that's being removed also, by the way. I think all of that is being removed. Next question, Sheikh.
What's being removed?
Oh, this designation.
Yeah, so that was the third thing, that the Americans are going to remove the designation bit by bit, using it as a pressure point for the rest of the group. Anyway, go ahead.
Next question, Sheikh. Turkey needs to be freed.
Really, there's one more point, which I already mentioned before, is that Giuliani himself and his groups attacked the rebels and not the regime during the early stages of the Syrian revolution between 2011 and 2016. So why would a Muslim go and fight the Ummah if he was not really an agent? He was a key tool to crack down upon the revolution and save the Assad regime. So, these things are not to be forgotten, inshallah.
Says Turkey needs to be freed itself. Do you see how they sold Palestine? Do you not see how they sold Palestine?
Yeah, this is emotional talk. This is the problem. Yeah, akhi, we understand that Turkey have sold Palestine and so forth. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he signed the deal with Quraysh, leaving the Muslimin in Mecca being oppressed and so forth, did he sell them out? No. Am I defending the Erdogan and the Turkish regime? No. I believe basically the Turkish regime is not in the first place working for the best interest in the Ummah. And that's why we as Muslims in Turkey must start calling for a better for the desecularization of Islam, so people understand it and understand their responsibility. See, what some of these what some of us don't understand is that decision making within policy, since you have a master's degree in politics, it's institutionalized. There's lots of people within the formula. All these people need to be aligned for a decision to be made. Okay, Erdogan does not have a magical wand. There are lots of people. There's a deep state in Turkey, like all the other states. Who makes up this deep state? There's set of businessmen, set of politicians, set of generals in the army, stuff like that. Certain families. So these people need to agree on the way forward for the country. And if we convince these people of Islam, that's how you create real change. You understand? But otherwise, you're asking a person who doesn't really care about the Islamic matters in the Ummah and is ready to negotiate the Palestinian card for, maybe an entry into the F-35, for example, program, or entry into the EU, or entry, whatever it is. So, and you're saying, oh, he's a traitor. Well, bro, he's not an Islamist. All right. So let's grow up from that and understand how
So you're
to get
saying
to
he's
change.
a secularist anyway, so why are you expecting change from him?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Next, third question.
I mean, who's protecting the secular regime in Turkey? It's Erdogan. But what I was trying to say, he's a lesser. I said two evils. You have the Kemalist secularist and you have Erdogan secularist. Which one basically do you want to rule Turkey? So that's why, again, this is why we're saying lesser of two evils. So if it was not evil, I would have said like choosing the good over the evil. But no, it's lesser of two evils.
It says, who is sovereign today? I guess that's a question.
In the Muslim world, sadly, is full sovereignty is not there. Nowhere in the Muslim world. I think the best country is Turkey. If there's someone that's really sovereign, it's Turkey.
Next question, Sheikh.
And it is not Pakistan.
Oh man, I gotta take this now, man. All right, let's go. Is it halal? Can you move that a little bit? Oh yeah, Sheikh, please. Is it halal to rule with kufr when you are in control?
If you will basically if you get to the position of power, and it depends on what you're talking about. If internally, if you're going to basically get ruined, why? Like Morsi, for example, he was given the presidency, right? That presidency was we all knew, and I even predicted he's not going to stay in power for maximum a year. He didn't even get to a year because he was not really given power. In Islam, akhi, in Islam, if the deep state gives you power, right, and they're not sold on Islam, you should not accept it in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So as Rasul Sallallahu refused it, the Quraysh gave the Rasul Sallallahu like, come and rule, come and just basically you can rule with your deen, blah blah. We can make you the king, but just rule with kufr, and it's haram to do that. Some people who might not have enough piety, righteousness, they might accept this position. They are at the end of the day, are they kuffar? No, they feel basically this is, if they'll get killed if they don't do it, blah blah. So they might be Muslim, but they're fasiq. They're zalim and fasiq. Can we still work with the fasiq if they have some sincerity for the country? There's a person like Bashar al-Assad who does not who hates the people. There's a person like Sisi that hates the Egyptians. But there's leaders that, like, what, they want to be in power, and they don't want to get jeopardized, so they don't want too much Islamic talk, and but they're willing to basically kind of allow certain development and certain whatever. So you need to choose which one you if you have the ability to impact who to get to power, you should basically choose the one that will give you a little bit more leeway to do your da'wah, to protect the honor and the dignity of the Muslimin, and to allow the hijab and so forth. That's what you should go for. But we as Muslims will continue to call for the full Islam and full La ilaha illallah from A to Z. You see what I'm saying? But what do we do with the less righteous? We just, khalas, we cancel everybody. This cancel culture has to stop. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, next question, Sheikh.
And this is maybe some new ideas here within the at least maybe with your viewers. These are some of the new ideas that we need to start, like, thinking about, and maybe we'll get convinced. Go ahead with the next question.
All right, go ahead. Sheikh, can you move that? I can't see. I can only see half of it.
Me myself?
No. I'm. They're putting questions in front of me, in front of my screen, but I can't. Okay, that I can't see, Sheikh. You gotta. Okay, so let's see here. How can the true justice and peace be established without the establishment? Let me read the question, Sheikh. I was reading. Okay, establishment of Islam. Is it only by hearing and obeying the commands of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala that we can achieve this goal, rather than relying solely on our logical solutions?
I heard you say basically, can we establish justice and peace without Islam? I guess.
Yeah, but I guess they're saying that there's a lot of logical solutions being given here. I mean, I guess in the question
not
is
really.
how far can logic go?
This is all from the Quran and Sunnah. See, these people need to chill a little bit and just not accuse people of leaving the Quran and Sunnah because they don't agree with the opinion. This is this narrow-mindedness and this sectarianism that we have in the Islamic movement. Because I say what they don't like. Oh, speaking from his mind.
But Sheikh, look, those could be genuine questions. I can't see who's asking those
questions. Hold your horses. Let me answer the question, right? So I would like to debate anybody who wants to debate me, and I'm open. You give me a call, send me a number, inshallah, we'll debate. But I want to remind the brother, inshallah, or the sisters asking that the Rasul said about the Najashi, the kufr law in Habasha, in Abyssinia, as just ruler. Can we have some justice? Yes, definitely. I'd rather have a Najashi in every country that's ruling with kufr than an Assad regime or a Sisi regime. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. If we have a Najashi in the 57 Muslim majority countries, then we can really reach development and reach, inshallah, the full da'wah to establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So think about that, brothers and sisters.
I mean, Sheikh, it's very interesting that you're I mean, I don't understand how you're relating development without being independent. That would be a question I think anybody.
And that's why I gave you the example of Erdogan. Did Erdogan create some development or no? Can you say he didn't create any development? Or is Turkey stronger?
No, but but with all that development, he still didn't bring Islam.
Yeah, who cares about Islam right now when we're speaking about development?
Somebody could just ask you that. Frankly, somebody can ask that. You're saying that, look, let's develop and let's do fine. Okay, here we go. Erdogan has been in power for the last 10 years. He's developed Turkey. Where is Islam?
Yeah, development and da'wah are two separate things.
No. The question remains, Sheikh. The question remains to you, because what you're presenting. You're saying let's develop. Fine, I agree. Let's develop. But I'm giving an example of somebody that has developed. You have a developed country like Turkey, who has been Erdogan at the helm for the last 10 years. He has developed the country. Fine, I agree with that. But where is Islam?
Well, because the da'wah was not done. I said you need peace and justice to do two things: da'wah and development. I didn't say just
So
development.
okay, so
I
at
didn't
the
say
end,
listening. You're not listening to me. This is the problem. I think
no, no, no,
that's
no.
why
I'm trying to
listen carefully.
understand, Sheikh. I'm trying to understand.
You have a
So
master's, mashallah, in political science
so
and
hold on. So
development.
that's why I'm breaking it apart, because it's not just me.
I
There's
don't want you to
understanding.
tell me to listen
There's
down.
people who
I
want
think
to understand.
I think it's right now. It is your turn to listen carefully because I've said that like almost 4 times,
Go ahead.
and you're not listening because you're listening with a
No, I'm
biased ear.
no, 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 no.
Sorry
I'm
to
not.
say
I'm
that.
not.
Let
Not
me
at all,
explain
actually.
myself. No, let me explain myself.
Go ahead.
I said both da'wah needs to be the da'wah is separate from development.
But dawa by
I'm
who?
saying
Dawa by
people
who?
like yourself, people Hizb ut-Tahrir have been only doing da'wah. I'm saying da'wah without development cannot lead to a khilafah. And also I'm saying to the Ikhwan Muslimin, development without da'wah, it does not lead to khilafah. I'm saying we need to do both. That's the difference. Ikhwan Muslimin are saying let's do development. Hizb ut-Tahrir is saying let's do da'wah. I'm saying we need to do both. That's why both of them failed, because
Okay, so
for you to succeed,
you're
for
asking
you
for a
to
third movement.
succeed,
So let's
you
clarify.
need to
Okay,
call for both development and da'wah.
fine. So
Is that clear now?
there should be a movement that is calling for
Who
both
knows what
development of the country.
the ummah needs to adopt this way. The whole ummah and all the movements need to adopt this way of thinking.
No, but Sheikh, fine, okay, because I'm trying to figure out how an ummah usually, Sheikh, there are always forces within society that
طيب.
build that actually build public opinion.
Yeah, we
Whether
need new movements.
so you cannot do that
Muhammad,
without movements. I mean, when you say
Muhammad,
ummah,
I already told you earlier,
there should
with
be.
those movements needs to be disbanded, and the ummah needs to create new movements. I said that from the beginning of the talk.
All
You
right,
asked me the same
last question,
question.
Sheikh. Go ahead.
Yalla.
Next question.
Bismillah.
Bismillah, Bismillah. What's your alternative to the? I guess you answered that right now. Previous movements, just create another one that has both dawah and development in it. That's the answer, I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
Definitely.
Next
Alhamdulillah.
one, Sheikh. Next one. I think we answered that, so we don't have to wait on this. Go ahead. That's it. All right. Khair. I think if that anything comes up, comes up. But Sheikh, mashallah, tabarakallah. We've been going at it since, mashallah. This is amazing. It's almost 9 o'clock. So I guess we look, Sheikh,
I told
alhamdulillah.
you minutes.
I'm sorry.
I told you 30, 40 minutes max.
Yeah, but mashallah, tabarakallah. Khair, inshallah. Look, Sheikh, alhamdulillah, this type of conversations need to happen and must take place. There is no,
I'm happy.
believe me, please don't take this as anything other than really, look, at the end of the day, there's so many events, amazing events taking place in our lifetimes. I never thought I would see the end of Bashar al-Assad. I never thought I would, in the last 10 years, I was talking to one of the doctors this morning. He was telling me, Sheikh, I never thought I would meet my mother. That I would be able to actually hug her or see her. So, people have, there's too much going on, not for us not to be engaged, whether with people we agree or disagree. I mean, this is the whole point of scholarship anyway. I mean, if the job of the scholars is constantly bring new thinking, challenge the society, and there will be always challenge to those scholars, and this will go back and forth until we get to a point that these type of discussions become, inshallah, at least in the Muslim lands, we to be able to discuss our affairs, have our own opinions, and be independent. That's the whole point anyway. So Sheikh, Jazakallah khair for your time, Allah. And inshallah, we will, hopefully you will be back. Hopefully this is not
Oh no, definitely.
with more challenging point of views that we can
No.
go at it, inshallah.
Very happy to be challenged. I'm very thankful for you to inviting me here, inshallah. And I'm very open. I actually want the Muslimin to be critical and to be challenging. Let's start challenging ourselves. I tell my students, let's start challenging ourselves first and foremost,
I agree.
and challenge them.
I agree.
Definitely. Yeah, all your challenges and the viewers' challenges are very welcome. And I take them with a nice smile and a good heart, inshallah.
Please, Jazakallah khair. And for the rest of you, again, Sheikh, before I leave you, Jazakallah khair for your time, for your efforts with a lot of things that you're doing, both in Canada. I know you're running an institution also, I3, and now I think also Masjid that you guys are building there, and also some of the humanitarian work that you're embarking on. May Allah give you the success. And for the rest of you brothers and sisters, every time there is in the type of whether it's Syria or others, when there is events like this, it will always create new thinking and new challenges and new ways of looking at what we need to do. And alhamdulillah, that we still have that ability and capability of doing it. And we have to build that capacity within ourselves to accept and look and think and realize, challenge, but never stop thinking and never stop working for this ummah. That's something that needs to be done. This ummah needs us. This ummah needs Islam. This ummah needs a proper leadership. This ummah needs to stop being played with its blood and with its resources, with all of what we have seen lost in 600 something thousand people in Syria. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our shuhada, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make Sham, inshallah, a beginning for a bigger change in the Muslim lands. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
لا لن يطول الظلام، ديننا لن يضام، نحن جيل همام، نحن فينا عمر. لا 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 لن يطول الظلام، ديننا لن يضام، نحن جيل همام، نحن فينا عمر. صبح بدا نور ظهر، نجم وشمس وقمر، ألقى على الدنيا الدرر. هذا عمر، هذا عمر، كل البرايا تنتظر أيامه البيض الغرر كي تستفيد من العبر. هذا عمر، هذا عمر. لا لن تدوم الجراح، بل سيأتي الصباح، نحن أهل الكفاح، نحن فينا عمر. لا لن تدوم الجراح، بل سيأتي الصباح، نحن أهل الكفاح، نحن فينا